Welcome back to Soundbites, show about good people doing good things in the local food and drink industry. And one of those people is Jake Foley. He's the owner of Sourwood. And Jake makes ciders. And what he makes ciders a little bit different in that he's making them more of a natural product. So welcome, Jake.
Thanks, Mark.
So you're not from Nova Scotia. So tell us a little bit about how do you land here on our shores?
Yeah, so I'm from Ontario originally, and I guess was looking for a place to settle down, but most importantly, my girlfriend was out here, so I came to travel Nova Scotia and check it all out, and I've been here for 10 years now.
Wow. Okay, so when did you start making cider, or did you start with cider or beer, or how did it begin?
Yeah, it actually was always cider. Started with fermented foods, making sauerkraut and kimchi and things. So then from there, I got interested in cider making, mainly just because visually I saw apples everywhere I went after that intro to fermentation with food.
And then, so once you start making kimchi, you start making some fermented foods and beverages, how does the mind go, okay, I'm going to turn this into something that is for sale?
Yeah, I guess honestly, it was a hobby for years. So I made my first cider in 2011 back in Ottawa. Yeah. And it was just a back burner passion. I read a lot, kind of nerded out. And then it wasn't until years later, after living here in Nova Scotia, ramping it up a bit and just looking around, that I realized that I wanted to try to take it commercially. And that stemmed from a few things, really. Like, I was getting kind of bored and I wanted to do something more social so I could, like, mingle, get out and about and see some people. Great.
So so what makes, Nova Scotia special in terms of apples? Because we talk a lot about this idea of terroir for wine, grapes. Do you think there's something of terroir in Nova Scotia cider?
I think so. And I thought that was the most exciting part about rolling into Nova Scotia, was just the apples, laid out in the ditches and the fields everywhere. And I just thought it was so magical. So I think Nova Scotia has such a huge history with apples that it really pulls that piece of terroir in, because you can pick a golden delicious apple in Ontario, but it's going to taste and look different than our golden delicious apples.
So when it comes to apples, what for you makes a great apple? What are you looking for when you're trying to make a cider out of an apple?
I like the story of it too. So again, Nova Scotia's history, I think it's a lot more rich. So I think an apple with the history of 100 years growing in the side of a field somewhere, it's gnarly, it's got character, but yeah, most importantly, acid, ripeness.
Yeah, and you kind of are taking a new old way of looking at making cider, in the sense that you're bringing a back of natural to the process. And so what does natural mean for those that might not understand it for cider making?
Yeah, so I think in the wine world, you see a lot of low intervention, 0-0, so nothing added, nothing taken away. So I have messed around a lot and experimented quite a lot, but now at kind of this new transition time, I am focused more on that. So what happens when you find a really well-grown apple, crush it, press it, ferment it with no intervention, so other than the act of crushing the apple. And that's natural winemaking, that's natural cider.
So it's exciting stuff. So I mean, it really probably infuses a lot of character into. But is it, compared to the commercial styles of cider, what should someone that tries yours expect?
Yeah, so it does tend to be a little more wild in the sense, and it's kind of hit or miss, really. So it's not as predictable when you're pitching a commercial yeast that says you'll get this path of characteristics and flavor. So it is a little all over the map, but it's fun and it's exciting. So I think you can expect them to be more dry, because naturally things want to ferment dry. So you have to intervene to keep them a little sweet. And I always say a little funky.
Yeah,
In a
great.
good way.
But funky is cool, and I guess that means that for those that want to explore your ciders, I assume they're kind of walking in knowing that it's not going to be exactly the same every time they try it.
No, and that's the exciting part. It is quite different, and we're dialing in the quality and trying to get our methods down so we do get consistency.
Yeah.
But I think those who love it really love that adventure.
And I know this is a big year for you. You're making some talk about the transitions of the company.
Yeah, so basically, Sourwood was just the love and vision of making cider and fermented goods. And I threw it all out there to see what I liked. And it was going this way, this way, this way. And most recently I sold the bar portion of the business to focus more on the farming side and the fermentation side. So this year for me is letting go of the kind of more of the city connection and hopefully going to the countryside.
Amazing. So going, in a way, really bringing it fully natural.
Yeah.
In growing some of your own product and,
That's right.
and fermenting it naturally. I mean,
Get my hands dirty.
It's a great story for Nova Scotia. I think what you're doing is amazing. And where can we find the product, just for people that might want to go out and buy it?
Yeah, so I think our website's the best place, www.sourwoodcider.com, or you can find us on Instagram, same name, Sourwood Cider, and then around town, of course.
Yeah, but it's always important to buy direct from the producer, because we know that through government taxes is expensive to produce. So
yeah, and the best selections from us. We've got all the gems.
Okay, so look out for Sourwood, and thanks for coming in.
Thanks, Mark.